Yeah, yeah. Fire starting. That's just the beginning.
What's next?
Death ray. We're coming up with a death ray. Hey, everybody, it's 6 o'clock. I'm talking to my friend Bill Stive here. He's in northern Minnesota. And I know some of you know Bill, so me and him, we just rapping about coronavirus, COVID. We talking about pandemic, man. We are solving the problems of the entire world. Just he and I alone right now are able to. So if Bill and I can figure this out, what the fuck is wrong with all these politicians in Washington that they're still stumbling over their peepees trying to figure this out? Bill and I got it nailed. Kathy Corsi says, hi, Bill.
Hi, Kathy.
You hear him, Kathy? He said hi to you. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing? Thank you for asking how I am. I'm fine. Talking to an old friend of mine. Goes back to when I was 15 years old. He's living in Minnesota. He said it's like 25 below zero or something, something crazy, right? So I'm just like, I'm trying to comfort him, telling him it's 30 degrees here, you poor guy. Look at how bad we've got it, I don't think I got any sympathy from him in the least. So.
Well, no, I'm not looking for any sympathy. No, I'm not. It's going to warm up. Don't worry. It's going to warm up.
Yeah, you're going to suffer first, though,
Well, I am. I'm in the suffering mode. And anytime I look at the news, I suffer.
There's Debbie Clemenco. Do you know Debbie?
Yeah, hi, Debbie Clemenco.
Bill Stive says, hi, Debbie. It's 25 below here, too, says my friend Ginny. I don't... Yeah, Bill, don't feel bad, man. It's 25 below here, too.
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't feel bad. I'm in the house right now.
You're in the house. Debbie says to tell you hi.
Oh, hi.
How about Mark McDougal? Do you remember Mark McDougal?
I think so.
He lived in the cloisters. He was a friend of Preston's. We went to overnight camp together.
Oh, okay.
You'd probably recognize him if you saw him.
Yeah, I might. Hi, Mark. You know what? I heard from Ariel the other day.
You heard from Ariel? Oh, yeah. That's nice, man.
Yeah, she was she's doing okay. She's,
I was looking on my computer screen right now. I have a picture of all of us in Chicago last time. You and her had your arms around each other. So.
Yeah, we did.
Well, listen, I'm going to go rant and rave a little bit at the screen. So it's good talking to you, brother.
You too, man. Love you. I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
All right, love you back.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. All right. He was calling from northern Minnesota, Ely, Minnesota. He said it's cold, but he's staying in. He got a vaccination last couple of days ago. I got a vaccination a couple of days ago. It's beginning. We're finally beginning to make some progress, right? All right. So where did we leave off? Saying hi, I guess. If you're there, Mark, by the way, please say hi to Ann for me. And so listen, the impeachment thing began today. I thought the video that they played, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of intense. It's intense. The video of the insurrection with cuts of former President Trump encouraging the crowd and saying inflammatory things is kind of interesting. And, it's not a long video in comparison to some. So if you get a chance, check it out. It will evoke, it's like somebody said, one policeman died and dozens of police officers were assaulted and injured. And the law and order party, I will concede, the law and order party has been the Republicans. Now, I don't believe that Democrats don't care about law and order. That's not what I mean to say. What suggesting is that they have certainly used that as a banner, amongst, law and order, the economy, tax cuts for the rich. They've got their things, anti-abortion, pro-life. They've got their postures, and law and order has been one of their postures, and they were in their element when the George Floyd protests got out of hand and became riotous. They were like, "Ooh, law and order, law and order." And interestingly, barely any police officers got hurt during that. Now, when the assault was directly on law enforcement, I mean, directly, that's who this was against. This wasn't like we're marching down the street and the cops jumped in our way. We went to where the cops were protecting a facility and assaulted them on their home turf. This was not, during the George Floyd protest, people were very specifically walking on public property that was accessible and open to them, and often and generally had permits to be there. And the police came and met them and intervened and tried to destroy the march. In contrast, the attack on the Capitol is one where people went knowing that this is where the police were minding their own business, and then tried to stomp them. Stomp. Watch the videos. It's traumatizing. It should traumatize you. If they're willing to tear the face mask off a police officer, to beat him with his own shield, to beat him with the American flag, to throw a fire extinguisher at their head, what do you think they would do to you? What protection would you have against a crowd like that that's been fed raw meat and told that you are part of the meal? Or better yet, a wild animals that aren't fed, right? And then are turned loose on the population to feed. That's what you can expect if the Senate does not get its house in order. The grand old party, the GOP, the Republican Party, they must at some point swing back towards their original values. But, come on. The truth is that's really unlikely. So, anyways, the impeachment process begins today. I will just remind you of this. Impeachment is nothing but an allegation. It is a charge. It is legal. And impeachment is the House of Representatives of the United States Congress saying that they believe you have committed certain crimes for which you must answer. That's all an impeachment is. And it's voted on, and then it's sent to the Senate. And the Senate now looks at the allegations, the charges, the indictment, and they're supposed to proceed to a trial to see whether the allegations are true and if the party it's alleged against is in fact the perpetrator. So that's what started today. Now, the first thing that went on, and I'm just trying to flesh this out because I probably have more experience with the Constitution than most of you. Oh, you know what? Hi, Ginny and Chris and Becky and Debbie and all y'all, Lisa and everybody that's here. So the opening shots were, is it constitutional to go after somebody? Impeachment was essentially a legal process to throw somebody from office. Impeachment in the federal government, if you want to get rid of a federal judge, you must have that federal judge impeached. If you wish to get rid of a congressman, a senator, or the president, or you need to have them impeached. That is the legal process. There's a body for each one of those whose job it is to evaluate whether or not they believe the allegations against that party are significant enough to result in charges. This has happened. So now his lawyers came on, and their primary argument today, because this was what was before them today, they're going to begin a trial later, is it constitutional to go after somebody who's no longer in office? If impeachment is removal from office and you've been removed from office, then how do you constitutionally pursue that person? Ginny's asking, is anyone else having trouble with the live feed pausing? Yes, there's a problem, huh? Short pauses. I wonder what that's about. I'm stopping to see if I can ascertain what's going on. Of course, you know that my abilities to engage in this kind of stuff is not very good. So Debbie's not having a problem, but some of you are. I don't know how to remedy this. Well, I'll keep going and hopefully it will remedy itself. And I apologize for any pauses in this podcast. But apologizing, I can't take responsibility, because the truth is I don't control any of this process. I barely control my mouth. So if you can hear me, so at least 3 of you are having trouble. Anyways, so let me go back to the constitutional challenge today. How do you fire somebody from the job they've already left? It's a valid question, but it's been answered. It's been answered by numerous legal scholars. First off, the Constitution anticipates that you will try to impeach somebody who has performed illegally while in office, high crimes and misdemeanors, So, so starting with that premise, if you believe somebody has transgressed in that fashion, what is the remedy? Well, the remedy for the Congress, only remedy they have, is to pursue impeachment. Well, he's left office. And what the legal scholars say, and I've listened to them, I've understood them, is when you craft a law, you must interpret that law in its simplest form. You don't try to convolute a law. You try to apply it simplistically. And the argument is, at the most simplistic level, obviously, you should not be allowed to misbehave on the job, leave the job, and suffer no consequence. But the American public has suffered the results of your illegal activity. That's number one. Number two, but for impeachment process and a conviction, you can't restrict him from running for office again. You can't apply the penalties. And why would you have a penalty of barring somebody from occupying public office again if you had no authority to do it? Why would you make that one of the remedies if in practicality you could not apply it? So, and the third thing is, it has been applied to persons who have already left office, whether they resigned, whether they were fired, whatever happened. It has been used in the 1800s against public officials, and it was upheld by the courts. So the weight of this constitutional argument weighs with the Democrats, and there is no authoritative treatise or journal or past law that has ever served this former President Trump at this time. In other words, there's never been a holding by a court that you could not be impeached because you'd already resigned or you'd already been voted out. There's no precedent that they can rely upon to argue. They're making this up, and that's okay. Sometimes when you don't have something, and there's not enough law, then you try to argue that what would be logical. But logically, they're losing, and they lost. There was a vote, and 6 senators voted with the 50 Democrats, and so 56 votes won the day. And so Trump's trial will go forward tomorrow, I think, sometime in the afternoon. I hope you cared enough to listen to that. In other words, I hope my doing this helps you follow what's going on, and this wasn't just simply superfluous to what you already knew and recognized. I'm just trying. I'm picking out of the air topics constantly, and I thought, given the news of the day, this might be something that I, being a lawyer and a former research assistant to a constitutional law professor, could help to make it palatable, so you could chew it into small pieces and go, "Oh, I dig what's going on, man." All right. So, by the way, I just want to say, I came home. I didn't. I walked today, and it was cold, and my nose, by the way, was cold the entire time. It was. And so I thought, I came home, and I really wanted to follow the Monkees yet again for yet another song. And they have Pleasant Valley Sunday, and I always liked that. So I named this show Another Pleasant Valley Tuesday, because the lyrics to Pleasant Valley Sunday are "Another Pleasant Valley Sunday here in Pleasant Valley Land." So, and then Windy. I mean, come on. If you don't know the song Windy, please, for God's sakes, hit the link and listen. Everyone knows it's windy. It's jam. It's a jam. Okay, it's an old jam, but it's a jam. And I posted the links for those too because it's Tuesday. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So here's the thing. So 6:30 this morning, Chris and I were meditating. Thank you, Chris, for being there. Chris and I and a couple other guys, we were meditating 6:30 to almost 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I chaired this 12-step meeting. 8 o'clock, meeting ends. Look at the weather. Man, who wants to bicycle in this weather? Ooh, oh no, man. It ain't never warming up today. There's nothing you can do that's going to make it get warm. But I walk on Tuesday. I'm a trooper. I'm bad to the bone, right? So I went and I got it all wrapped up. But you know what I should have done? I should have taken a face mask that I wear on my bicycle. This heat thing. I'm not talking about mask for COVID. And I went out there and I walked for 2 hours, 5 miles in the woods north of here. And man, my nose regretted it. So then we usually go out and eat. Well, it's 35 degrees. Where do you eat in 35 degrees when you only eat outdoors? Well, you find a place that's got plastic up and heaters and the whole deal, and you don't take your jacket off during your eat, and you eat. And I had fried pickles and a burger. All right, now you know how my day went. So I came, Veni, I saw, Vidi, I conquered, Vici. All right, Veni, Vidi, Vici. So that's how we got here. That's how we got to 6:20 p.m. Okay, and then going forward, I just want to say this, that I really feel plugged in. I really feel plugged in. I feel like what's happening is, whether the impeachment trial results in a conviction, which it's not likely to, because you need more votes than you needed today, it's not likely to result in a conviction. But the fact of the matter is, I'm at least digging that lots of former Republicans who I would never have sided with ideologically have at least had the courage to get on television and declare that inciting people to attack the Capitol, inciting people to acts which resulted in a policeman's death and dozens others injured, which resulted in other persons being harmed and one woman who was shot by a law enforcement officer. It is at least heartening, after 4 years of listening to only Republicans supporting Trump and only Democrats anti-Trump. It's so refreshing now that we're getting the Adam Kinzinger a representative from Illinois. We're getting a Liz Cheney, who, by the way, is to the right of Attila Hunt, is no friend to Democrats. She hates Democrats, and we hate her. But at least she has demonstrated a element of conviction in that she has said, this is not acceptable, right? So I'm feeling a little plugged into the fact that it's not just doom and gloom. Now, balance that with a post I just made that one of the guys arrested had high-level security clearance with the FBI, has been in the employ of the FBI at times, and he was arrested. And here's the problem. I got high security clearance. I work with the FBI. Didn't say work for them. I worked with them, or maybe it said for, I don't know. It doesn't matter. If I can access information that is otherwise unavailable to the public, such as, Proud Boys Hawaii is under investigation, and we've got Babalu down there, and he's infiltrating on behalf of the FBI. If that insurrectionist who is at the Capitol had access to that information, you can bet that information would have gotten fed to the Proud Boys. Hey, be careful. Babalu is a confidential informant. So you'd have Babalu's life at risk, but at the very least, you wouldn't secure the information you're looking through infiltration if that person's been outed. Even if they don't harm him, they're sure not going to let him sit in on any important conversations. So it's really significant that we have been infiltrated. When I say we, the United States of America has been infiltrated by crazy QAnon and Proud Boys and Klansmen at almost every level of government, most especially law enforcement and military. So, I feel good because things are coming to light, but some of the things coming to light are super troublesome. I really hope that when they recognize that this guy who had this level of clearance was in the midst of this, I hope they investigate the shit out of him, man. I hope they go up his butt with a proctoscope. I hope they give him a colonoscopy looking for any information he might have had. So, but in the main, I think from talking to people, there's still a modicum of depression that prevails across the thing. Bill, that I was talking to on the phone, told me he's got depression. Some of you have told me you have depression. Yes. But compare our sentiments, our feelings, our emotions today with how we felt 3 months ago. And I believe what I'm hearing from people, mostly, not all the time, is, the vaccine is coming. So even if you have not been vaccinated, you're beginning to have a glimmer of hope. You're beginning to recognize that at some point you will be vaccinated. Your family will be vaccinated. Your friends will be vaccinated. The public will be. And the risk that you are anxious about right now is going to diminish. It will diminish. Then they talked about the variant. And what is the variant doing, and how does that affect us? And I want to discuss that. If you don't mind, if that's something you want to talk about, just type in the comments, please. I don't want to talk about that. But here's what I wanted to say. I believe the doctor that I saw in the last couple of days, and we discussed it here yesterday, that the variants have probably been here for months, but we weren't testing. What a surprise, right? We weren't testing for COVID, but when we tested for COVID, apparently we were giving this narrow test simply to identify if there was COVID-19. In contrast to other tests we could have been giving, which would have picked up and identified the presence of the variants here already. So that's number one. So it's probably been here. Number two, Moderna and Pfizer apparently feel confident, and they have reason to feel confident, that while these variations are fast spreading and that the Pfizer and Moderna are not specifically designed for that, here's the good news. Moderna and Pfizer vaccinations are believed to be approximately 95% effective against COVID-19. Against the variants, not as effective. What does that mean? That means that if 95% is here, the protection may only be 70% against the UK and the South African vaccination, right? Okay, 70%, from what I understand from listening to these guys, is still better than the flu vaccine, which most of us take every year, right? So it's not that we're going to be unprotected against these variations, these mutations. What it is we're going to have reduced effectiveness in the vaccine against those specific ones. But the evidence would seem to indicate that in the main, Pfizer and Moderna, which are the two that we're getting in the United States, are still going to keep us out of the emergency room, keep us off of ventilators, keep us from the more dramatic ill effects that visit us when we have COVID. So so that is just super good news, and it's a reason for you to begin to feel better about what we've been in the midst of. So Kathy says, Chris says he's feeling better today. I'm so grateful because Chris deserves to feel better. Good man, good man. Is it safe to travel by plane after being vaccinated? If you've had 2 vaccinations and you have waited 3 weeks after the second vaccination, you are now at your peak immunity from COVID. That would be after the second vaccination, 3 weeks after it. If you're going to travel, you're about anytime after that will be better, right? It will be safer. But as Debbie says, you still have to wear a mask. You still got to keep 6 feet apart, and you still got to wash your hands. Whether you've been vaccinated or not, that is the declaration. That is the bottom line. Bottom line. We got to continue. We may be wearing masks this time next year, but this time next year, or in between now and then, you may be able to eat in a restaurant indoors without as much anxiety. You may be able to travel by plane, even though you'll be wearing a mask. There are things that you will do that you are reluctant or unable or unwilling to do now that you will find you can. You'll be able to visit with family and be in closer proximity. And if everybody in the family has been vaccinated, the odds are that you will all be far more protection than at any time since this COVID thing has hit. So I'm beginning to feel the lightning, like lifting when something gets lighter. I'm feeling that modification. I don't know what you call it. But anyways, I'm feeling, dare I say, hope or something akin to that. I don't know. I think it's all the news clearly is going in the better direction than it has gone in a long time. After the election, you knew I was a reluctant camper about what was coming. You knew that I was absolutely certain of violence. I said that, and the violence visited us on January 6th. I told you I didn't know how January 20th would look because I knew that the Republicans were going to fight to the last freaking minute, and they did. But Biden's in, and nothing, even if you were to find somebody to overturn the election in Arizona, suddenly the governor of Arizona declares the election illegal, nobody's going to remove Joe Biden from the office. He's going to be there. He's going to be there for 4 years. Listen, somebody said this morning to me, oh, I understand they're calling out the military to help give vaccinations. They've got a lot of doctors in the military, a buttload. And they're calling out FEMA, right? I'm this friend of mine, and he's not necessarily Republican or conservative. He says, well, this needed to be, why didn't they do this 2 months ago? Well, here's the thing. They wanted to do it 2 months ago. See, 2 months ago, if you were watching mainstream media news, then what you found out was guys like Fauci and General Honorary and all these people were saying, what we need is a national program. We need to go into these big stadiums. We need to inoculate thousands of people a day. We need help. And nothing came of it. And then Biden was elected. And in fact, all these things that people have been saying would be helpful are now being either implemented or examined with an eye towards implementation if they're considered effective. None of this was happening. Now, you would think that with that going on and our safety and security being taken care of, or, at least to some degree, both from the physical virus, from outside threats such as Russia or China, you would think that with a new administration, even people that don't like Biden would give him a chance because he's already demonstrating grabbing the bull by the horns while the last guy was playing golf all the time. No, not helping. Can't wait to hug my 9-year-old great nephew. Can't wait to hug my 43-year-old son. And, my daughters, maybe one day they'll come over and I won't make them wear a mask. Maybe after the second vaccination, my daughters can come over. Right now, when my adult daughters come over, they have to wear a mask in the house with me. So I want to hug Kenny Goldberg too. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed hearing from Bill. So back to kind of my theme. My theme is, and I've talked about the clouds. And I said to you after the election, okay, the clouds are thinning, but I can't see the sun. Then time went by and I said, okay, I can see an outline of the sun, right? I can't really see it, but the clouds are thin enough that you know where the sun is. You can point at the sky, which, by the way, you couldn't do today. The entire day, I couldn't tell you where the sun was. But in this kind of literary sense, the clouds are thinning even more. In glimpses of sunshine, that I got vaccinated, that some of you have been vaccinated, that people. If none of you knew anybody else, me and I got vaccinated, and you're on list. In fact, I got called by the city of Dallas today telling me my number came up. Well, I've already been vaccinated by my hospital, and my second one is in 3 weeks. So my turn, I'm not going to sign up. My turn will go to somebody else. And eventually, after all the 65 and over and all the people with comorbidities who are younger, and then it will get to you guys. It's coming. It's coming. And the Biden administration has ordered hundreds of millions of vaccine to be administered to the entire country. Right now, they have either negotiated for or completed negotiating for 600 million doses. That's 2 doses for every American citizen, right? Okay. Now, we also need to take care of the non-American citizens, and the Republicans don't want to inoculate them. But, if you're going to get herd immunity, what are you going to do about, the 20 million illegals here? Inoculate them, for God's sakes, man. What? Don't you get it? It's in your best interest. Don't we always want to operate in our best interest? What is our best interest? That everybody we come in contact with is as safe as they can be made. And if that means that everybody I'm going to come in contact with, legal, illegal, incarcerated, non-incarcerated, whatever, give them all shots, man. Give all the prisoners shots, give the prison guard shots. Give the homeless shots, give the homed shots. Give the rich people shots, give the poor people shots. Give them all the shots. Let's get this taken care of. Why would you be having discussions? And I'm telling you, the Republicans are having this discussion, probably some Democrats too, about, well, what do we do about the non-citizens, these persons who are here illegally? Like somehow that's a real challenge. It's not. It just means paying for more vaccine. It doesn't mean anything. It means self-protection. It means, let's pretend that 80% of the population had masks, but 20% of the population couldn't afford a face mask. Would you say, well, I'm not going to get them a face mask? I don't care that they don't, that they can't afford it. That's their tough luck. But they're breathing on us. Give them a mask. For God's sakes. Timothy, cricket. What does it take around here to get some attention? Anyways, so I think that every now and then you'll get a glimpse of the sun. It will be bright. It'll be yellow. It may be only for a moment, and you'll feel the heat of it, and you'll feel that sense of relief that people have. And when it's been too cloudy for too long, and you've got seasonal affective disorder, you're depressed because, oh my God, forget a pandemic. Just think about the times when it was inordinately cloudy for an inordinate amount of time. Chicago, 3 weeks of rain and drizzle and no sun, or Dallas, or wherever you're at. And eventually, even without a pandemic, people begin to suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Everybody's got it in the time of the pandemic. And I'm telling you now, there's some breaks in the clouds, and that will ameliorate some of this horrible discomfort that we have been experiencing all these months for almost a full year now. Man. So this friend of mine, Robert, he got vaccinated today. And he's out by Fort Worth. And he said, he's not really particularly well versed on vaccines. I'm better versed than most people about these vaccines because I had some apprehensions. So I looked it up. I talked to people who are professional medical people. So I shared that with him. What my sense of the cost and the benefit, what is the cost of getting vaccinated? Not the financial cost. What is the cost? Well, is it going to modify your DNA? Are we all going to be turning into zombies? What's going to happen? What are the downsides of a vaccine and what are the upsides? Cost benefit analysis. And he and I went through that. And at the end of the day, what Elaine said to me, and I told you, is COVID will kill you, the vaccine won't. Will the vaccine do something? Some unanticipated consequence? Perhaps. But whatever it is, damn booze, we going through it together because we all going to be vaccinated, right? So if I turn into a zombie and y'all turn into zombies, well, we'll all be zombies together. What's the problem? I mean, being a zombie is only a problem if you're just like one zombie and everybody else is afraid of you and shooting you in the head. But if we all turn into zombies because we all been vaccinated, well, we just live zombie-ish, whatever that means, okay? So in the big scheme of things, when you're trying to evaluate and you don't have access to the best information, the best medical and or scientific information, just default to COVID will kill you, the vaccine won't. So 460 million dead in the United States alone. I think that's a compelling argument for all of us getting vaccinated and getting everybody vaccinated. Debbie said it. Everyone should get the vaccine. So, and Robert also listened to the show yesterday, and I told you, Robert's got some hard history. He's 6'5", was in the joint for most of his life, and he texted me yesterday, I listened to your show, and he said, I'm never showing up to see you without a mask. He said, you crazy. I'm like, well, I did go off a little bit, didn't I? But I meant it. I really mean it. We're a community, and we're going to start taking care of our community. And our community is first this small, for all of us, our neighbors. Those would be our first community. Okay, not even our families unless they live with us. Like for Kathy, Marcus is the one she sees another city. So right now her community is very small, right? And then we've got this community, this digital community, but we're not sharing virus with each other, but we're trying to take care of each other. And we do that in some measure by listening to me ramble for 45 minutes. You may have a 12-step community. You may have your bicycle community. You may have your running community. It doesn't matter. You all know who's your community. Debbie's got Tammy and Janet, and we've all got something. And now is the time to protect our communities. And in the time of the pandemic, that boils down to we encourage each other to mask, to social distance, to wash hands. Then, after we've secured that kind of commitment with each other, we start looking at the bigger community and going, you need to be masked and keeping social distance and washing your hands. So when the governor of Iowa terminates COVID restrictions, we all should have a collective, what? Right? And I hope as you discover more, you have a collective gasp and say to yourselves, to each other, that's not cool. That's not acceptable. We have a community that ever expands beyond ourselves. Spiritually, that's the truth. Spiritually, there's an interconnectedness that some of you experienced when you were doing LSD, some of you experienced when you're meditating, some of you experienced when you were walking in the forest or walking in the mountains. You knew there was this moment in time or moments in time where you know that at some spiritual level, we're all connected. So why wouldn't you protect all living beings as part of that immersion, that participation in that community? Did I say this yesterday or did I say it to somebody else? I don't remember. Maybe I said it here. I don't know. So I'll repeat myself because what do I know? So there's a meme going around, and there's a guy. He's walking out, and this thing is like, oh, the farmer still gets up at 4 a.m. to go milk the cows and take care of the farm. So we have food on the table. We should be grateful for the farmer. Look at his hard life. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But in that same freaking photo meme, there were cows in front of the farmer covered in snow. And I thought to myself, the farmer, if it's too cold, turns around, he can go back in the house and say, screw your food. Well, what did the cow do? Why are we so focused on Homo sapiens that somehow when we're having a dialogue about safety, security, and comfort, I wouldn't put my cat out in the snow. My cat wouldn't spend the day. I ain't letting my cat come in the house covered in snow, right? And I know your cattle's not a domesticated animal in the sense that my cat is, but you know what? It's a sentient being. We know that cattle, pigs, horses, all can feel pain. If they can feel pain, if they can demonstrate sadness or affection, we have millions of examples of animals exhibiting affection. So therefore, they must be sentient beings, and as sentient beings, they must be protected by us. There's a video of some kind of animal with horns. I don't know if they're bulls or what. I know nothing about farm animals. And I saw the video this morning. And they're on the side of the road. They're on the wrong side of a fence. And they start to kind of walk out in the road, and there's cars coming. And this one bull, the biggest of the bunch, gets out and starts pushing them back with his horns off of the road onto the meadow. Clearly protecting. There's another one where somebody falls in the water and the dog jumps in and grabs them and swims to shore with them. There's several of those, right? I mean, come on. How do you deny the sentient of these beings when they are willing to protect their young, they're willing to protect a human, or they're willing to protect something that's not their species? This is indicative of some sort of awareness. Doesn't mean that they have intention. They may be instinctive, and you need intention to improve your spiritual wellness. But for God's sakes, we are the protectors of all that roam the earth. We as humans have the brain power to bring to bear all the protections necessary for all living beings whenever possible. I'm an advocate of that. So when I saw this meme of the farmer, I'm like, well, I'm grateful for the farmer. Don't get me wrong, but who the fuck is taking care of the cows? Who's gonna Who's gonna wipe off the snow and put them somewhere where there's heat and food and comfort? And why wouldn't the cow be entitled to that? They're sacrificing their life so you and I can have milk or meat, for God's sakes, or even clothing, right? Man, get with the program, ladies and gentlemen. And now I segue right into meta. Isn't that, you didn't see that coming? Or you did? Maybe you did. Of course. I take a deep breath. I close my eyes. I bow my head. I bring my hands before my heart. As a form of prayer or reflection, I send out goodwill to all living beings, but I start always with myself. For you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So let us fill our own cup, our own vessel. May I be happy, healthy, free from harm, free from anger, anxiety, and fear. May all living, may I, find that this path leads me to a place of peace and comfort and ultimately freedom from suffering. May my mother and father, all my family members, all my friends, these persons whom I hold with love and affection in my heart, may they be happy, healthy, free from harm. May they too find the path that leads them to greater peace and comfort. And to those persons I harbor ill will towards, for whatever reason, in this moment, I abstain from judgment. I send out this goodwill. May all those persons be happy, be healthy, free from harm. May they too be living lives, peace, comfort, and even joy. And to all living beings, wherever they may be throughout the entire universe, not just here on earth, wherever living beings may be, humans and non-humans, be the recipient of our collective goodwill and compassion. May all living beings be happy, be healthy, free from harm, living lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Amen. Satu, Satu, Satu. Sorry, I went deep there for a moment in my own heart and head. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Some animals are more caring than humans. Thank you, Kathy. Somebody responded to Karen, but I didn't see Karen here. How does that happen? Anyways, oh, not saying you still get it, spread it to others. All right, I'm seeing. Okay. Anyways, let me say to everybody who is here, Mark and Ann and Kathy and maybe the other Kathy and Chris and Becky and Debbie and Rose and Rachel and Lisa and Joan, if she was hiding as she often does when she's listening and doesn't make a comment, and those that'll come later, whether it's Tammy or Ginny or Ginny was here for a moment. Maybe she stuck around. I don't know. Anyways, the perfection in me recognizes and acknowledges the perfection in all of you. I call it perfection. You can call it God. You can call it spirit. I don't really care what you call it. Just recognize it, acknowledge it, and be at peace. See you tomorrow. Thank you.